Hey, all just coming at you with another Everyman's Journey on Dirt Rally 2.0. It's time to put the Datsun aside for a second, take on one of the classics of rallying, the Lancia Stratos. Again, new to us. It's a mid-rear engined car, so it's a little more tail-happy, but it's got a very short wheelbase, so it's pretty stable, pretty wide. Yeah, there's a lot going on here, but we're going to give it a go on one of the longest stages in Greece, because it's totally not technical, right, for to learn a new car. But it is a rear-wheel drive classic 70s car that was World Rally Champion, I think 3 or 4 years in a row when they developed it. Absolute animal, gorgeous sounding engine sourced from Ferrari. We're going to be underpowered here because it's a new car for us, but it's a good time as any to learn how to handle a mid-rear engined car with a short wheelbase and a hyper rear end. Giggity, giggity. Give me some.
Keep left over 60, 5 left.
Gotta see how she shakes. I mean, like I said, this run I'm not expecting to be awesome. My goal is to keep it on the road and keep it right. Yeah, we're gonna be downshifting more aggressively than normal because I can already feel this thing is. Ooh, that butt swings. Oh, that's bad gear. But the butt swings on this thing like crazy. As soon as you give it a little bit of inclination in the corner. Oh boy. I tell you, it is definitely stable. Let's see how stable it is. Oh, I hit a rock. Oh, well, okay, get another roll. Not so much. Never mind. I was gonna see how stable it was in braking, but we broke pretty well by rolling it.
30.
A little excited there on the rocks. Yeah, you really have to catch the sucker.
5 right into 2.
As soon as he gets going.
4 left. Opens of a crest. 30.
Remember this turn from the old
6 right.
Grease stages.
6 left.
Rock and left side just waiting to murder you.
50.
See how this goes. That roll wasn't great. But all in all, with all the experience we've had with rear-wheel drives, this does feel a wee bit more stable. Not gonna lie. And we kind of have a better sense how to control this thing through the curves.
Left long, 30. 3 right tightens.
Yeah, see that? As soon as you give it a little too much throttle, butt is like, oh, you want me to step out?
Left over 80.
And I'm like, no, I want you to stay on the road, please.
Narrow, 6 right, don't cut. Keep middle over 80.
But it's very willing. Oh, it is willing to step out on you.
Into 6 right, don't cut. 100 over bumps. 3 right.
Turns me just
opens.
A bit careful with the steering. Like we're going to be down on time here because this is very underpowered compared to our competition. But like I said, we're trying to learn a new drivetrain layout that is extremely sensitive to aggressive and poor steering inputs. So we're going to try to be minus the flip on the rock. We've kind of minus the horrible accident. Almost hit that rock.
60.
We've actually been controlling the sucker pretty well. And these are narrow, tight corners, which do not lend themselves to too much sliding, which is exactly what we're doing at every single corner. But I'll tell you what, under braking, unlike a lot of other cars, this is very stable. And I think I'm going to chalk, look at that. I'm going to chalk that up to the extremely wide wheelbase relative to its length. It just kind of sits on the road, doesn't really swim too much.
3 right, don't cut. Opens 120.
Whew, I'm telling you what, I don't know the stage either, so this is kind of like learning many things at once. But we're about 10 seconds down on the pace, which, you know, all things considered with a new car that is completely underpowered, not too bad. I mean, I'm not counting the 9 seconds that the flip took out of us. Just the stuff that we actually did under proper driving power.
6 long, 30.
This car does, once you understand it, it does feel good. I've always been kind of afraid of giving this thing a proper go, because I know how hyper it tends to be. But after getting all that confidence with the Manta and all the other Group B cars that we've been driving in with that requires a lot of counter steer, this feels a lot more manageable.
To keep left over 80, caution, 2 right, tightens, don't cut.
I remember seeing an interview with Marco Allen, who famous rally star from back in the day, talking about driving this thing, and they were asking him like how hyper was it, And he's like, yeah, you know, when you start going, don't catch. Just you know, just hope you do 360 and keep going. I'm tinging his Finnish accent with Dutch there, but you know what I mean. He was just like, even he was like, yeah, it was tail happy. It was tail happy. Of course, he was driving this in anger and a pace much more aggressive than I am currently, with much greater skill. So I'm not trying to compare myself by any stretch. But the car is tail happy. And pretty much every single curve, sometimes in the Opel or other cars, you can kind of get away with not having to countersteer too much into a curve. You just kind of get the nose pointed right and it actually does what you tell it to. This one, every single curve, we are countersteering, and we're countersteering early and often. You can see, I'm turning into the curve pretty much every single time just to get that rear end placed properly. Where is that? There's it too.
6 left, very long, tighten short, 350.
It is definitely keeping me busy on the steering. And that could be just true of most mid-rear cars, but man, are we, as soon as you make that cut, that rear steps out immediately, and you're immediately compensating. Immediately. Man, this thing ping-pongs like crazy. You can see that in that chicane section, or chicane-ish section. S's rather, not chicane, because chicanes would be tighter. That was a turn 3. I respected a little more than I probably should have there. But yeah, I mean, every turn you're just correcting that rear end. Every turn I'm missing the gear. Doesn't help, but every turn we're correcting the rear end. But I'll tell you, it does set a hell of a pace, and is very, very competent on the brakes. I think that's the part of this car that I'm actually really surprised at. There, I wasn't even trying to generate brake feel. I wasn't really trying to progressively brake. I just slammed them. Oh, that's, speaking of slamming, yep, there's a rock. First, talk less. Where am I? Am I down a hill? He's only be down a hill, not too far. Stop.
Keep left of a crest into 5 right long.
As I was trying to say before I hit that giant boulder, I'm actually quite impressed in how stable this sucker is under braking. And I think that's, like I said, the wheelbase. And I expect this car to be more about speed, given how aggressive it looks, but honestly, it's the stability here. I think is the biggest asset. Once you learn to control the tail happiness, man, this thing just sits on brakes and just claws in. Now, this is not going to set a good time here, but it's an interesting example of how... I can't see. There we go. It's getting bright outside. You can see that in my face cam, so I'm having a little trouble contrasting the darker forest background with this. But yeah, I'm almost going like almost 1 full wheel rotation to counter steer nearly every single curve. It's kind of crazy, actually. Yeah, see, I'd say half a rotation. I mean full. You know what I'm trying to say. There we go. Yep. Wasn't fast enough for correction there. Man, okay. It's a learning process. This one, it's fun, man, but you lose concentration for 1 second, and this car kills you. And we're about to kill into a tree to get back at it for all the suffering. Actually, this has been a lot of fun, despite my perspiration on my brow and the nearly multiple adventures into the shrubbery recently. This has been actually a car that I really want to learn, so it feels like you can be very quick. You just kind of, I mean, minus the oversteer on corner entry, which is just bananas right now. It feels more like a 911 in that sense. It just kind of just does not, come on now, does not go flat through corners at all. Look at that, I have to just pitch the wheel immediately because I know it's going to be a problem. Okay, we're not going to set a good time here, that's alright. That's alright, I'm just going to let it spin and do its thing. Man, its stability under braking is what got me surprised, really. It just plants, sits straight on, and gets you oriented properly. The only thing is you need to be very, 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 very active turning into a corner. Sorry, I scuffed up that bodywork like crazy, but it is fiberglass, as you can see. Gyre peeking through the damage. Hey, despite that crap, we're still in the middle of the pack. It's a hard car. But there you go. It's a mid-rear, and we're definitely going to be hitting the Lancia up again as we learn more about how to compensate for its absolute insane tail happiness. As you can see, we're not even in the second engine tuning. We just got the second engine tuning. That's how little I've driven this thing. But I think this one is going to be worth it to learn. It's going to be within our capability to do so. So, until next time, I'm Nurse. Everyman's Journey, DiRT 2.0. Till then.